And showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the ChannelPro 5-Minute Roundup. Look at news, trends, and tips for the SMB channel in 5 minutes or thereabouts. My name is Rich Freeman. I am executive editor of the ChannelPro Network, also a host of this program. I am joined this week, as I am every week, by your other co-host, Erick Simpson, a business transformation and improvement advisor to MSPs and other IT providers. Erick, how you doing?
Doing great, Rich. It's, another sunny day here in Southern California, not too hot, and, just beautiful outside. How is it in your neck of the woods?
Well, here in Seattle, surprised, it's not raining, but it is overcast and a little on the cool side here today. But you know what? No forest fire smoke. We're not complaining.
Awesome. And welcome back, by the way.
Thank you very much. Had a terrific week off. Thank you for folks in our audience for your patience. We took a week off on the show, but we are back at it this week. And let's dive right into our top story this week here. It comes to us from Pulseway. Now, for those of you in the audience who are maybe not familiar with Pulseway, they are a managed services software maker. They're in the same business basically as ConnectWise and Datto and Kaseya and Enable and companies like that. They have an RMM product and a PSA product and some other products on top of that. And what they announced this week is the addition of a self-serve customer portal to their RMM tool. Now, obviously, a lot of the RMM companies out there have had something like that for a while. So it's not as if Pulseway is inventing this category, but theirs is a little bit different. I mean, typically, as I understand it, the products I've seen, allows a customer to go to a website and file a ticket, basically, or maybe look up the status of a ticket that they filed later on. There could be some knowledge base information on there, some other information that the MSP is sharing with them. In this case, a customer is going to go to the Pulseway self-serve portal. They're going to see a menu, and the MSP will have customized this, but they'll see a menu of support issues that they may need to report. So let's take the most common one, maybe that everyone in the audience is going to be familiar with, which is a password reset. How much time do you wind up spending, or do your tech spend doing password resets? Well, if the customer needs that, they're going to be able to click a link on the self-serve portal. An automated workflow automation engine is going to interactively ask them some questions about what they're experiencing, and it's actually going to attempt to fix the problem on its own. Password resets are one example, maybe a printer that isn't working is another. You as an MSP will have scripted all this out. Pulseway actually introduced this workflow automation engine last year for technicians to use behind the scenes with the RMM system. They've now kind of hooked it up to this portal, allowed you to set up routines that a customer can kind of step through where they're answering questions asked to it by the portal. And the portal is just going to try to fix the problem. And for a lot of simple problems, it'll probably be able to do that on its own. If it gets to the end of this routine that you set up and it still hasn't fixed the problem, it will automatically set up a live chat session with the technician. It will pass along a transcript of everything that has happened and has been said to that point in the interaction, so the technician can catch up very quickly on where things stand. The customer doesn't have to kind of walk the technician through all that stuff all over again. And optionally, if you want, you as an MSP can add a button to the portal that allows the customer to just sort of skip ahead straight to the live chat session if they don't want to deal with the portal anymore. So, again, it's a self-serve portal, which is not something that Pulseway has invented, certainly, but that automation aspect of it, the ability for a customer to get a quick resolution to their problem, and that's going to make them happy, and for you to spend less time on these really simple but time-consuming things like password resets, is kind of an interesting angle on the customer portal story, Erick.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, Rich. And working with a lot of partners, I tend to find that each partner has kind of their unique perspective on that customer experience that they want to have with their clients. And, for me, someone that's built call centers and service desks, in another lifetime and really understands how to maximize efficiency and productivity and time to resolution and things like that, these types of solutions make a lot of sense. I mean, just a perfect example for me today, I had a webinar that I was doing, and I was having a little bit of internet issue, and jumped on my my provider's website. And in the old days, before they had this functionality where I could just reset everything with a button and just reboot everything and reset and resync, I'd have to be on the phone with someone to get and waiting in there in the queue to get someone to do that for me. So for many clients that understand that there is a simple way to resolve issues kind of from a self-serve perspective, makes a lot of sense. For some clients, however, they may not like that, right? So I love the ability to customize the experience for someone to say, look, I will, let me see what the options are. If it's something that I feel like I can do, or maybe I've already done that, I just want to talk to somebody or chat with somebody right away. They can do that as well. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. And we know from polls and surveys that more and more business clients are adopting and appreciating that chat response because it is more real time rather than open a ticket, wait in a queue, wait for a callback, whatnot, right? But again, you've got some of those MSPs that have cultivated a clientele where they are offering a little bit more of a boutique type of a service, right? Where they say, well, look, we want to have that live answer, more call center feel, and give that personal support. And my recommendation to those partners is, well, listen, consider having a couple of tiers of support. So for folks that want the most cost-effective support while you maintain your margins, in using these kind of automated self-serve systems, customer portals, and the ability to chat to resolve tickets, right, without picking up a phone and answering a phone, then that may be a more, lower cost service for those folks. And again, you're maintaining your margin because you're pricing it appropriately. And then for those folks that want that boutique level, more call center, more personal service, that's a higher level of service, which you charge more for. So there's a way to give, folks the support and the service that they want or what they can budget for. So I like the ability to take the load off of the service desk staff by giving folks easy options where they can, hey, easy password. Hey, click here to reset your password. Holy cow, right? I just closed the ticket without doing anything, right? The client themselves were able to click and reset their own password. Even though, if they look on the login page, there's probably a reset password link there anyway, people are people. So I think it's a great opportunity for partners to, reevaluate these kinds of tools and middleware, I'll say, in between their typical PSA solution and maybe their PSA's customer portal to provide their clients maybe even a better or faster experience.
And I think experience is the key word. From my standpoint, you want to do business with customers the way they want to do business with you. And increasingly these days, people are used to that online self-serve kind of experience where I go to the website and I do it on my own time. It gets done immediately. If that's what they want to do, having the ability to offer them that. If they want to do chat, offering them that as well. If they like to pick up the phone and talk to the help desk, giving them that option also. All of that goes to delivering that superior customer experience to the end user, and that's what's going to retain them as a client.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you deliver the services that your target audience wants, right? So I wrote a blog post recently. Are you selling the services that your clients want or need, and in the way that you deliver those services to them? In the way that they want. And, the other consideration too is what do they do when you're just delivering support between certain hours, right? And what happens after the service desk shuts down? Do they just have to wait till the next day to get support? Well, if they're using kind of a self-service portal, which gives them some DIY things that they can maybe resolve their issue with as well, then, the next morning you don't have those additional tickets in the queue either. So I think it works well both ways that way.
Well, let's move on to your tip of the week here, Erick, which in a way might get us back into the customer experience kind of conversation, because you want to talk this week about a very important, sometimes difficult conversation that everyone in our audience needs to have with their customers.
Absolutely, Rich. And that conversation is, I'm going to put it in air quotes, the cybersecurity conversation, right? I liken kind of that experience and that conversation a lot to when we want to ask a client or a new prospect about budget, right? We're selling a new product or service, and some new sales professionals kind of build up a lot of angst or anxiety around, how to ask that budget question. They just haven't felt comfortable and figured out an easy way to say, hey, what kind of, where are we going to find the budget to, execute X, Y, Z? Whose budget will we pull from? Have you already allocated budget, or do we have to find some budget, right? It's just a conversation, right? It's just a conversation. And so I see a lot of partners that I work with, where we work on how to have that cybersecurity conversation with your existing clients. Now, these are clients, remember, Rich, who may think that we've got the cybersecurity thing all covered because, back in the day when we sold their original managed service agreement 5-10 years ago, we said, hey, we're taking care of your security because we're rolling out our antivirus and anti-malware and maybe, anti-phishing. But times, they have changed, right? So what used to, meet the need or the risk profile of those clients then certainly falls short today. So the tip of the week is simply to find an easy way to have that conversation with your clients and to anticipate the objections you're going to get. The first one I've mentioned, hey, I thought you were already taking care of this for me. Well, in fact, back when we started working with you, the services and solutions that we had put together did a good job of protecting you from the threats at that time. But since then, these cyber criminals have become super criminals and they're super crafty. And so now we've got to increase your security posture. Another objection that may come along is, Eric, it's not in the budget, right? To increase this, for me to consume more services. And that's one that you've got to overcome from a kind of a line in the sand mentality, right? They can't afford not to strengthen their cybersecurity posture, because if we don't, it isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. These phishing attacks and these email compromise attacks, they're just being shotgun blasted to every email alias. I mean, I get them, I'm sure, Rich, you've seen them too. And this is not the, I've got a rich uncle in, Africa that needs to get money out of the bank kind of a thing anymore, right? I mean, that's how this kind of, if you think back, this kind of snowballed into now. These folks are really crafting very specific messages that look like they may come from an internal, executive or something, asking someone to transfer funds, or, hey, reset your password, and it takes you to some site that now is just capturing your login information that then they use on the real site, and all kinds of crazy things, right? So we've got to say, and I'm encouraging partners to say, look, by this date, everyone that wants to continue working with us must have at least our minimum security package, right? Because there's too much risk on their side and there's too much risk on the provider's side. Now, MSPs are getting sued as well by clients who are being hacked. And it may not be that great client that you've had a relationship for 10 years, but it's their insurance company, right? That now has to cover the cost of remediation and wants to figure out who they can drag into court and those types of things. The last objection that we'll probably find in these conversations is, well, you know what, Eric? I mean, who wants my data? I'm just a small business. I mean, who cares? Well, you want your data, right? Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner. And once you're ransomed, it's not enough for them to just hold your data hostage. Now these cyber criminals are publishing your data and your customer data and your staff data and your data to the dark web. So they become much more, it's a much higher risk and fallout from this. So find a way to have that conversation with your existing clients. Give them a date and time, maybe 2 or 3 months from now, if you can bear the risk up until that time, and say, look, here are our options. We need to select one of these options and subscribe you to these enhanced cybersecurity services by this date. Or unfortunately, the risk will be too great for us to continue to be your provider. And I know that sounds harsh and scary to a lot of MSPs, but think of the alternative. Their businesses are at risk as well. And, they've got to do what's best for their organizations, their staff, and all of the rest of their clients that are moving forward and subscribing to these services. You don't want to have a handful of clients that decided not to move forward. Even if you sign some sort of a release of liability, it's not going to stop any kind of legal action, trust me. And at the end of the day, when they do get breached, you're going to have to stop everything you're doing for all your existing clients that have subscribed to your cybersecurity enhanced packages, and then focus on helping these folks who did not move forward with you.
Yeah, the key thing, I guess, a few quick key things. This is a difficult conversation, but like we were saying, it's a conversation you need to have with all your clients. And like any other difficult conversation in life, I think the key thing you said there that is really great advice is just game plan it out ahead of time. Think about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, and like you said, anticipate the objections that you're likely to run into, and know the compelling way that you're going to deal with that, because you really can bring these difficult conversations to a successful conclusion, but it helps to be ready for some of the problems that you might run into.
Absolutely. And, role play it with somebody, make sure that you are comfortable having that conversation. Like I said, a lot of the time I find that the reason why, folks aren't asking these tough questions is they just haven't found a way that they're comfortable expressing that. And it's just a conversation, and you're just stating facts. You're not selling anything here. You are really concerned for the security of your clients and your own organization. And you're just going to be, pretty matter of fact about it, and just say, listen, it's kind of like, you go to the doctor and they say, oh, you need to do this, and you need to, exercise more. You need to take, this medication for so long so that we can overcome some of this stuff. The doctor doesn't, say, well, look, if you want, you can do that, or not, come see me in 3 months. No, they say, look, we're going to take care of this. Here's the plan. We're going to walk through it. We're going to check in, and we're going to monitor your results. And it's a matter of fact thing. Like, there is no good reason not to enhance your company's cybersecurity posture and get your staff some cyber liability or cyber awareness training, right? Because once you've kind of secured the perimeter and hardened things and enhanced, advanced security platforms, the human beings are going to be, the largest threat vector, right? Because we're the ones that might still click on those phishing emails.
All right. Well, that leaves us with time for just one more story this week. Comes to us from Florida, Eric. It concerns a real estate listing there. 4-bedroom house in Gulfport, Florida, very near the beach. Very attractive house, actually. It was put on the market in June, and it stayed on the market for weeks. Even though, again, as I said, very attractive house, it has, among other things, a rather large, leafy, I'm guessing, shady oak tree. To understand why this particular oak tree, though, might have been a turnoff to at least some of the potential shoppers. For those of you who are watching on video, I'm going to show you a picture right now of the house, and then I'll describe it for the folks who are just listening right now. There you go. There's the oak tree. And for those of you who are just listening right now, it is right in the middle of the kitchen. It is growing up through the kitchen, and this is, I guess, a two-story house. It goes through the second story of the house, and the top of the tree pokes out just a little bit past the roof. If you like trees, having one in the middle of your kitchen might not be that big of a problem. I will say that the Tampa Bay Times article I got this photograph from did point out one potential problem with having a tree in the kitchen, especially if you have a dog. They might decide to do something with the tree that isn't anything that you want happening in the kitchen. So it's an interesting feature for a house listing, wouldn't you say, Eric?
Boy, I would say so. And you wonder, is that a Keebler elf's dream home right there? They've got the tree. But I did notice that it looks like the listing comes with those relatively new looking kitchen appliances. So there's a plus.
That's right. It is a very attractive kitchen. Well, you know what? Like I said, went on the market in June. It did not sell. Happy ending to this story. 3 days ago, as we record this, the house sold for the asking price. So they did find somebody who wanted the house, tree and all. So thank you very much for joining us, folks. That's all the time we've got this week. We're going to be back again next week with another episode for you. We are both a video and a podcast these days. If you are watching the video right now and you listen to podcasts, why not check us out on your podcast source of choice? We're on Stitcher and Spotify and Google and Apple, etc. If you do go ahead and subscribe to us, if you could give us that 5-star review as well, it's going to make us easier to find for other folks. We would appreciate it. If you're listening to the podcast, check us out on video. We're on YouTube. Easiest way to find us is to go to the ChannelPro Network channel on YouTube and become a subscriber there. If you take an extra second and click the little bell icon, you'll even get notified when the new episodes get up. You can read more about Pulseway and their self-serve portal and all sorts of other great stuff on channelpronetwork.com. We've got great new content for you there every single day. To learn more about Erick and the work he does with his clients, please visit ericksimson.com. That is ERICK Simpson.com. Once again, we thank you for joining us. We're going to be back again next week. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the rest of your week. Erick and I are enjoying the rest of your week already.